Hello and welcome to another episode of Mr. Boskin Does Some Math. Today we're doing illustrative math, grade 8, unit 5, lesson number 2, practice problems. Our first question here says, here are several function rules. Calculate the output for each rule when you use negative 6 as the input. So if we input negative 6 and then subtract 7, what do we get out? Well, negative 6 subtract 7 is negative 13. If we input negative 6 here, square the input. Negative 6 squared, negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. If we plug in negative 6 here and divide by 3, negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. Divide the input into 3. So negative 6 divided by... Divide the input into 3. So that's 3 divided by negative 6 is negative 1/2. If we plug in negative 6 and it tells us to write pi, we plug in negative 6 and we get out pi. I should probably move the last one so it's not quite as inside my head. Find the volume of a cube with side length equal to the input in centimeters. So if we have a cube, we want to know the volume. Well, length times width times height would be 6 times 6 is 36 times negative 6 again, but that's going to give us a negative volume. Can you have a cube with a negative volume? No. I just went and double checked this one, and yes, because negative 6 cubed, you can't really have a volume of a cube. You can't have a cube with a side length that is a negative number, so yes, they're looking for no. You can't do it. Next question. A group of students was timed while sprinting 100 meters. Each student's speed can be found by dividing 100 meters by their time. Is each statement true or false? Speed is a function of time. So does their speed depend on their time? Yes, it does. Speed depends on time. For each speed, you only get one possible time. Time is a function of distance. That's false because the distance is always 100 meters. So there isn't one time for a specific distance because everyone gets a different time, but the distance is always 100 meters. Speed is a function of the number of students racing. No. The speed doesn't depend on how many are racing. Time is a function of speed. Yes. For every speed, or for every time, for every speed, there is only one possible time. Okay, what have we got next? Diego's history teacher writes a test for the class with 26 questions. The test is worth 123 points and has two types of questions: multiple choice worth 3 points each, and essays worth 8 points each. How many essay questions are on the test? Well, we know first we have to figure out what our variables are going to be. We could have E for essay and M for multiple choice or whatever, but I always like to use X and Y. So let's define what those represent. If X represents, the first one's multiple choice, and Y can be essay. Now we know the number of multiple choice questions plus the number of essay questions is 26. We also know the multiple choice questions are 3 points each, which means 3 times the number of multiple choice questions plus 8 points each times the number of essay questions equals 123 points. Ooh, now we've got two equations, an X and Y we've got to figure out. So let's substitute something. This equation right here looks pretty easy to solve for one variable. If I subtract Y from each side, then X equals 26 subtract Y. Well, if X equals 26 subtract Y, I can substitute that in for that X over there. I'm just going to move things so I've got space to show my work over here. 3 times X, which we know is 26 minus Y, plus 8Y equals 123. Now, what are we going to do with this? Let's distribute first. 3 times 26 is 78 minus 3y, because 3 times negative y is 3y, plus 8y equals 123. Combine like terms, negative 3y plus 8y is 5y. So 78 plus 5y equals 123. Subtract 78 from each side. Those will cancel. 5y equals 123 minus 78. To make sure I don't make a mistake, that's 45. So y, divide each side by 5. Y equals 9. Now, I know y equals 9. So let's look back up here. Well, X equals 26 subtract Y, but Y is 9. So X equals 26 minus 9 is 17. 26 minus 9. Hey, look at 17. So I know what X is and I know what Y is. I could write this value as a point. (17,9). That's a point once we know the X and Y value. Let me go up here and see what the real question is. How many essay questions are on the test? Y is essay questions. 9 essay questions. Hooray! Okay, now what? Whoops. Hey, Mr. Boskin, what are you doing drawing that line there? Why are you there? I hate it when it does silly things. Okay, these tables correspond to inputs and outputs. Which one of these input and output tables could represent a function rule and which ones could not? To be a function, that means every input has one and only one output. Every input has only one output. And those are stupid lines from me screwing up because I apparently don't know how computers work today. So input -2, get out 4. Input -1, get out 1. Input 0, get out 0. Input 1, get out 1. Input 2, get out 4. Okay, every input.
May I have your attention, please?
Every input does have exactly one output. So this one, yes, that can be a function. Our next one here, if we input 4, we get out -2. Input 1, get out -1. Input 0, get out 0. Input 1, get out 1. Input 4, get out 2. Wait a minute. If I input 4, I could get out -2, or I could get +2. Not a function. C. Input 1, get out 0. Input 2, get out 0. Input 3, get out 0. Every possible input has only one possible output. Yes, that is a function. Next here, if we input 0, get out 1. Input 0, get out 2. Input 0, get out 3. Well, if I input 0, I don't know if I'm going to get out a 1, 2, or 3. That is not a function. Looks like that's the last one for today. This has been another episode of Mr. Boskin Does Some Math. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.